Hey, squad, you are listening to episode 58 of Full Ride, the college recruiting podcast, the podcast that educates our families. That's right, our student athletes, our moms, our dads, our high school coaches, our AAU coaches, our travel ball coaches. But our goal here on the podcast is to really educate all of you, all parties involved on the ins and outs of college recruiting. But of course, we have a special place in our hearts for our under the radar recruits. You know, the ones who don't play for big state championship teams, you know, the ones who aren't All-Americans, you know, the ones who, you know, maybe not all state, the ones who play in a small town. I have a really special place in my heart for all of you. And you know why? Because I was that under the radar student athlete who, as a junior, going into my junior year, I had no offers, zero, zip. But one summer afternoon, going into my senior year, I went to a combine, and that's how my life changed. That's when I got noticed at a one-day showcase. The right coaches were there. And I was able to earn a full athletic scholarship to Boston University, where I played football for 1 year. But guess what? After my freshman season, they cut the program. Can you believe it? So I had a choice to make. Do I want to stay at Boston University as a normal student? By the way, they were going to let me keep my full athletic scholarship, even though I wasn't going to play. At least that's the least they could do, actually. But I digress. Or I could transfer and try to earn another athletic scholarship to another school. Well, I chose to take my talents across town, and I attended Northeastern University, where I was, again, extremely fortunate and lucky to earn a second full ride. So I graduated from Northeastern University, and today I try to help student athletes and I try to help their families, you know, navigate and take control of their college recruiting journey. So if you want to learn more about what I do, you want to learn more about URECRUITU, head on over to our website, urecruitu.com. That's the letter U, recruit, and then letter U.com. And you can always sign up for our newsletter and by texting the word playbook to 66866. Text playbook to 66866. But really excited because we have another special guest. I'm going really heavy on interviewing former college athletes the last 3-4 weeks, and I got another 10 lined up for you guys. But I really want to bring you guys former college athletes, particularly during this time of uncertainty, because I feel as though each person has different experiences and each person brings fresh ideas to the podcast. So it's really important, I feel, for my parents, but most importantly for my student athletes, my recruits who may be feeling on edge right now, to hear from somebody who 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, were sitting in their shoes as high school recruits. So today I have joining me Jonathan Lawton. And Jonathan is also a former college athlete. He played basketball. He'll tell you where. And he is now a European pro. So he plays overseas professionally. So we get into his experiences as a high school recruit. He gives us some amazing insight and tips. He talks about his experiences as a college athlete, and then briefly talked us on his career as a European pro athlete. So really hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, here is this week's guest, Jonathan Lawton. Jonathan, how we doing, my man?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good. Just trying to stay safe, stay healthy, stay home. How about yourself? How you managing this uncertain time right now?
Following the same thing, just trying to take care of my body, trying to be, aware of everything that's going on, just enjoy my time with my family.
Cool, man. Well, I definitely just want to quickly thank you on behalf of the squad for taking some time to share your experiences as a high school recruit who then went on to play in college and now just completed your first year playing pro ball overseas. And we're going to get into all of that. But why don't you take this moment to officially introduce yourself to our listeners, let them know where you're from, the sport you played, and the college you went to.
Okay, well, like I said, my name is Jonathan Lawton. I'm from Williamstown, New Jersey, South Jersey, about 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Went to high school, Friends Central High School. It's in Wynwood, PA. Some familiar faces that you might know of is Emil Jefferson, who played at Duke University, and DeAndre Hunter, who now plays with the Atlanta Hawks. My recruitment was kind of different because I was one of those that needed an extra year development. So I did 5 years of high school. I previously went to Paul Six High School in South Jersey, where I did my freshman year, but found an opportunity and was able to reclassify where I did my freshman year over again, and that was at Friends Central School. Through my 4 years, recruitment went up and down. A couple Division I schools, looked at me. They weren't too sure because I was on the shorter end. And, as a point guard, it's a little bit, it's a dime in a dozen, it's finding a diamond in the rough. So it was difficult. Finally found St. Thomas Aquinas College, and that was my only offer coming out of my senior year. St. Thomas Aquinas is in Spark Hill, New York. It's a small Division II school in the East Coast Conference, and I played 2 years at that school. And like I said before, it was definitely a growing up experience. Being on your own, going to college, especially not being too close to home, and it was a little difficult. I had to do a lot of growing up because expectations, were really high. And then after that, 2 years at St. Thomas Aquinas, I got hurt my sophomore year. And so I only played a year and maybe close to half of my sophomore year, and ended up transferring to Florida Southern College. And that one might have been the biggest and most impactful decision that I've ever made in my life. And, had a great career, becoming a player of the year at that school, an All-American, conference champion, first team, all conference, any accolade that you can think of. And so that's just like a quick little, overview of my little process from high school going into college.
And they say the devil is in the details, so we definitely want to unpack the details and really, unpack how you got, through this whole process. So let's kind of rewind all the way back, in time. When did you realize you actually wanted to play basketball in college?
I mean, as a kid, growing up, you always watching, all of the older guys on TV, and you look up to them. Going through high school, literally, it was my 8th grade year. I had to make the decision. I played basketball, football, baseball. I was one of those kids that played every sport. And, it finally got to the point to where it's like, okay, this is, an opportunity for you, to get college, taken care of, get a scholarship so you don't have to worry about going into debt. And, had to sit there for a second, and I decided that basketball, was the path for me. My dad previously played basketball himself, and, it was always a passion in the house. And so literally from 8th grade going on, I knew that this was something that I wanted to do, and that basketball, was my vehicle to a free education.
So now, did you and your parents have a conversation? Was it just kind of unspoken? Like, I'm just trying to figure, you said you want to play. It's like, okay, we want to do, but like, was like a certain moment that triggered it? Like, I'm just trying to figure, because I try to tell families, I think it's really important for the student to have buy-in. And one way a parent can get that buy-in is to maybe have that conversation and ask him what are your goals, for life after high school. And then that's it, right? Don't try to lead them. It's like, just literally, what are your goals for life after high school? And I think that's a good way to kind of see where the student athlete, falls. So did you ever have that kind of conversation? Or was it just kind of like, no, I'm just going to play, I'm going to grind, I'm just curious.
It kind of was, after we had that conversation of what I wanted to do and what was my vehicle, to getting into college, Then it went into, selecting the high school that I wanted to go to. So my dad was a varsity assistant coach at Paul Six High School, as well as a JV coach. So knowing that, it was the ideal situation to go there and play under him. And, with that, me and my parents had a lot of conversations, are you sure this is something that you want to do? And then if so, you have to understand the sacrifices that come with it. Essentially, being a scholarship, student athlete, you can't really be a normal student. Your time is taken differently. You have to work out. Sometimes you can't go out as much as you want to. Sometimes you can't hang out. And that's just a sacrifice, that I've had to come to terms with. Did I really like it going through the process? No, but my parents helped me kind of get a good understanding of, this is the bigger picture. And so when you talk about goals, it was always, what is the bigger picture? What is the end goal for yourself? And from a young age, they've helped instill that in me of, what I want to do. So going back to, picking the schools, education was really important for me. So it kind of weeded out some of the powerhouses that, just focus on basketball. And like I said, I ended up finding Friends Central in my second year of school.
But before we get to that, let's just focus now on your first choice, right? So you're recruiting, you're getting recruited. Were you highly sought after, or would you say you were more of an under the radar recruit?
Man, I've been under the radar, basically for my whole life. Going into high school, I was about 5'4", 5'5". I went in, I was one of the younger kids in high school. I was legit maybe the second youngest in my class. And so, that development phase I never went through. I was always like the little kid, the little baby in my class. And so, that was really difficult because a lot of people looked over me, especially because, like you said, the little kid, they didn't really see the growth or the process, I could go through if I was given certain opportunities. So the safe choice was to go to Paul Six, where my dad was coaching, because I have the relationship with the head coach, and then my dad is there, the opportunity might be there. I might, get something out of that more than just going to, because another school that I was looking at during that time was URECRUITU, which is a well-known Catholic school in the nation. And, just weighing the options and where I would kind of, end up, it felt like Paul Six was the best choice. And a little sidebar, legit, I had to flip a coin on what school to go to. The decision was that hard.
Oh, wow.
That I had to flip a coin because it was either or at this point.
So you had two schools that you really like. Is it because you just love both schools? Like they were that close? Like why did you have to flip a coin? Because it was that close?
So Paul Six, like I said, my dad coached there. My brother graduated from that school. So we had like a connection, like a genuine connection with it. And that was just, like I said, the safe choice. But also a better opportunity that may have came by was, URECRUITU. I took the visit, met the coaches, worked out with the guys. And, it felt great. But they knew, and we both knew, that I would have to start from the very bottom. And starting from the very bottom with a kid that's 5'4", 5'5", going into high school, some things might not just come his way. So literally it was deciding like, all right, what are the pros and cons? My parents had me write out the pros and cons of each situation to kind of just figure out what was the best choice with that end goal in mind of getting that free, that college education.
Oh, okay. So I was confused. So you were talking about flip a coin. You were talking about for high school, which school you wanted to go to for high school.
Legit flip a coin.
Okay. No, but I got it. Okay, cool. So I was a little bit confused, but now I'm picking up. So you picked the high school, correct? But now when it comes to picking what college you wanted to go to, like how did you end up settling on your choice, your first choice before transferring?
So it was the same situation, going into college. I only had two schools that were really, and there were only two divisions, because I kind of just and as an advice I would love to give, the kids going to high school, listen to every coach that reaches out to you, no matter if it's Division I, Division II, or Division III, because you get to learn, a lot, and you get a lot of advice from those coaches. I had a lot of Division II coaches earlier in my recruitment phase reach out, but, I thought that I was a Division I athlete. So I kind of, pushed them to the side. A lot of those powerhouse Division II schools, I pushed to the side. And so I only ended up having St. Thomas Aquinas and University of District Columbia. And
Mm.
like I said, the same way that my parents helped me get through the high school, it was writing out the pros and cons, and when you write out all of the pros and cons and not just what works for you, just about the school, helps you kind of make the logical, decision. Like, yes, this is for what I'm trying to do, this is the best fit. And so that was St. Thomas Aquinas College. And like I said before transferring, it was a great experience. We won conference championship both years, made it to Elite Eight my second year. So it was like you just got to weigh out the realistic, pros and cons.
And now St. Thomas, is that Division II?
Yeah.
What division was that?
That was Division II as well in the East
Got
Coast
it.
Conference.
Yep. So the reason why, and I love the point you just made, and I really want to, pause on it and stress this. So, because I believe Isis Young from previous episodes, she said the same thing as well about, or maybe I just kind of said it after she made a great point. But regardless, it was, don't be so caught up chasing these Division I offers that you ignore really good Division II, Division III,
Yep.
NAIA options. And it sounds like that's a mistake that you may have made, where you had a number of some really good D2 schools pursuing you, at least
Mm-hmm.
early on, but you kind of like just ignored them. You gave them no mind.
Yep.
Then you look up, you're like, holy crap, I only have 2 offers here, where maybe if you had if you were a little bit more realistic with your game, but they're also just more open-minded to as many options as possible, you could have had multiple offers or more than 2 offers.
That is correct. And like you said, it's cool to have, and this is something that I've just learned just growing up. It's cool to have, your mind on the end, that vision, but it also you have to be present in where you are. And that's where I wasn't. I wasn't understanding this is where I'm at right now. And you make the best out of that opportunity. And because of that, I was always looking at what others had. I'm like, well, I'm better than this guy and he's getting this, and this. And that, like you said, that had a negative impact on my recruitment instead of just focusing on what I have, and like you said, making a realistic, smart decision. Because at the end of the day, that college education, and getting that degree, and getting
Mm-hmm.
school paid for, was the end goal, not the glitz and glamours. Those are add-ons to to the whole process.
And that's what I try to tell kids all the time. And it's easier said than done. Again, you've been through the
Yeah.
process. I'm a few years older than you. So it's easier, being so far removed from that, to
Yep.
say this as an adult now. But, you know, as an aside, I always tell these student athletes, like, who's not going to care what division you played in college, besides your employer, because employer won't care either. If you decide to become an employee somewhere and work for a company, they're just going to know, can you take the lessons you learned while playing in college, can you now apply it to now being an employee and help my organization? So
Yep.
besides your employee, your employer, they won't care. They just want to know, can you, deliver results for the company? But the
Yep.
second group of people who don't care what division you played is the bank. And when that loan comes due, the student loans come due, they're not going to look at, oh, Division I, Division II, no, they're just going to say, you owe us money with interest, pay up.
Yep.
So this is where I really need mom and dad to really just stress to your student athletes, like, listen, have an open, and even mom and dad, you need to have this reality too, that we all can't go Division I. Go to the places that value your skill set the most, that's going to be willing to give you the most financial assistance possible in order for you to play in college. It's
Yep.
great to play in college, but it's also great to be able to graduate with little to no student loan debt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad you kind of stressed that, because
Yeah.
again, I'm 41. I've been out of college since 2002. So it's good to hear, you young bucks come on here who you just a year out of college, 2 years out of
Yep.
college.
I just graduated.
So yeah, you just graduated. So like, take it from the people who have been there, done that, student athletes. It's really important. But
Yeah.
moving on now. So You're at D2 St. Thomas. You said you really enjoyed the experience, but you mentioned it earlier in your introduction. You hurt yourself, and then you ended up transferring. I'm just curious, why did you have to transfer because you got hurt? Like, just kind of walk us through that process. What made you decide to make a move after such a successful freshman year?
Well, like I said, the sophomore year, reality kind of set in for me. I figured out like through this injury, because my whole life, basketball, or since 8th grade, basketball was my life. Everything that I did, any movement, relationships that I made, was all with basketball in mind. And then once basketball was taken away from me, I realized that I didn't have anything else going for me. I was constantly getting stuck. School started to drop off a little bit, and I kind of just went into like a whirlwind, a spiral of like, what should I do? And then, I took a leap of faith and was just like, I need to figure out, this other side of me. This was like kind of like a personal thing for myself. I found that, it is important to have other hobbies, other interests, and not just be so focused on, one specific, goal or task, because those things can help alleviate all that pressure. And that was the biggest thing. A lot of people thought my decision was a bad decision. But why would you leave something? Like I said, I was rookie of the year my freshman year. We won our conference. Then I was starting my sophomore year. Unfortunately, I had a wrist injury. It wasn't anything major. It was just an injury that I had to sit out for. And, getting to that point, I realized that in that school, it was just all basketball. There was no other outlet. Everything that I was doing was just focused around basketball. So I just wanted to give myself a chance to, just explore and find what best fits me and where I'm wanted, as a person.
Mm, that is, this is something I didn't realize. You said something that I didn't think we were going to touch on, but it sounds like, and it's again another um, piece of advice I try to share anytime I give a talk to a team or do a conference, a one-on-one coaching call. I try to do an exercise with the student athletes, and really it's about finding fit
Yep.
in a school. And the exercise I try to share with them is like, close your eyes and imagine yourself at this university. And it's hard for you to do this, but try to close your eyes and imagine yourself at this school, college, university, whatever. If you were to take away your sport, would you still be happy here? Could you still
Mm-hmm.
envision yourself at this school? So it sounded like you maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe you didn't do that exercise prior to going there because you get hurt, you had to rest, and in that moment, you're not really playing. You're like, I'm not really, I'm not really feeling it here like that.
Yeah.
And is that safe to say?
No, that's 100% true. You just get to a point to where, like you said, you had to sit there and just take it away and just look at yourself as a regular student at this school. Is this the best fit? And like you said, and then it was just, like you said, it was like a clear answer. It was like, no. So I was like, all right, now what if I can't play anymore? What if this injury lingers on even more or something? You know what I'm saying? What if? And that popped up, and it was just like, okay, like I'm going to find where I best fit outside of basketball, because basketball I can take care of. That's easy.
Mm.
It's those other aspects of my life that I wanted to start to, to move on and grow with.
No, I
And
love
like I said,
it.
it was difficult. Like I said, like I said, it's easier said than done. There's like a load of conversations, disappointments, coaches being upset with me, saying their piece, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, and it's crazy. So when I did finally get my release from the school, I was only allowed to have a Division I release because I was adamant of making it Division I. So my coach only allowed me to talk to Division I schools.
Oh, wow.
And so that went on until about mid-July.
So that was out of spite, sounds like to me.
And so, like I said, you gotta take, but you gotta take the punches sometimes. So that went to July. And then finally had to get back, had to reach out to, certain people, talk to the AD, and I finally got my full release, but I couldn't play in my region. So I couldn't play home because I was just thinking about, going to one of the schools close to the home, just playing there. So that made it more difficult. So I either had to go down south or go further out west.
So that's another thing. We're unpacking a lot here
It's a
because
lot. It's a
these are
lot.
some. No, that's good too. This is good because again, this whole mission of this show here is just to kind of educate and inform, and
Yeah.
student athletes. And a lot of times, here's the reality: is you you got to realize that your decisions have consequences. And unfortunately, ideally, if it's me, and it's, again, I'm not trying to begrudge your former coach, the school, anything. But to me, ideally, you would think in a situation, if you go to a college coach and say, I want to leave. I need to find it's nothing to do with you, but it's just like for my development, for my long-term, my experience, I just need to leave. And you would think that they would just say, and this is more, it's not even just a coach, it's just an NCAA thing. They say, okay, yeah, do what you got to do. We wish you luck. We wish you, if you change your mind, we're here. But that's just not how it works. They make you jump through hoops. And the reason why, again, I mentioned this before and others have as well, it's a business. So you got to look at it from that coach's standpoint. He's like, wait a minute, I'm losing my top player, conference rookie of the year, and damn it, okay, if he wouldn't leave, I'm gonna make him jump through hoops. And that's what you guys have to realize as student athletes is it's really important for you to make that decision coming out of high school, again, fit. But then also now you got to realize that if you do get there and you don't like it, I mean, I know we got this transfer portal now and everyone, but it's still hard. It's better, but it's still not flawless.
Like I said, for me, I had to reach out to these coaches. I had to formulate emails.
And that's the next step. And I'm so glad you did that. So, and this is where we're going to really dig in, because I feel like you can apply the same stuff, to high school athletes going through the recruiting process that you did as a college athlete. So now let's speak to these kids who maybe they're a junior, they're going into their senior year, they don't really got any offers, and now they want to get to that next level. Now you were transferring out of college, but the process may still be the same. So what were some of the things that you had to do as a college athlete to get on the radar of other college coaches?
So the first thing is to do your research. That's the biggest thing. So when I was coming out, we had verbal commits. Now, I'm not sure if they still use that because I haven't been, paying attention to it. But verbal commits legit updated as, I guess, every single day. So, it's just looking at those schools, seeing who's in your position. And for me, a big, I guess like a no or a red flag is if you have a player that's a freshman to a junior that gets a lot of playing time in my position. They get a lot of playing time. The odds of you getting playing time, unless you're a highly recruited player, is very slim to none. So then that's when you start to knock off some of those schools. Then once you get your list, I gave myself probably about 10 to 20 teams in each region just to start off with, and then just start to knock them down and then reach out to these coaches. Now, how I reached out to them is through email. I had my parents help me, formulate a professional, email. So I'm giving out, the right information. Because like you said, this is a business. I'm trying to get you to look at me to work for you at the end of the day.
But the email came from you.
So the email came from me, though.
Exactly. But mom and dad can definitely help you check the grammar, make sure. Yeah. But it came from you.
Yep.
That's
definitely
important. Mom and dad, you can't be sending emails to the kid, to the coaches. No, it has to come from
parents.
You. But keep going.
Parents do not do that. You gotta let it come from the kid himself. It's going to mean a lot more, and it's definitely going to help out with their growth. Just learning how to reach out to these coaches and becoming comfortable. Because, like I said, I reached out to about 300 schools.
Say that. Oh, dude, come on, Jonathan. You.
I'm telling you, I sent an email every single day, and those coaches got an email, the same email if not, like I said, you don't want to bum rush them, but like legit give them a week, and then it's coming out again. Because like I said, I'm trying to find a job.
And how many, you said 300 colleges.
300 colleges. Now, like I said, I'm not going to, like I said, hit a head coach, assistant coach, associate head coach, hitting the AD, hitting all those people up, especially at the schools that I wanted to go to or that I was interested in. And like I said, and think about, like I said, I don't know about you, but responding to emails, not a lot of coaches are really good with responding to emails. So that was, like I said, and it's just keep on going. And was it hard? Yeah. My parents had to stay in my ear. And like I said, parents, if you see that your kid is kind of, falling off a little bit, just stay in the ear about just reaching out because something is going to fall through.
Mm-hmm.
It just might not fall through the way that you think it might.
And I just want to, I'm going to let you keep going, but I just want to just literally like pause right there because, again, in my lectures and in my workshops and one-on-one coaching, once we get to this phase where I say, okay, the time now is for you. And again, if you're a freshman, sophomore, we're not really doing this exercise yet,
Oh, yeah.
but this is more of my juniors. I'm like, okay, now it's time to put together your list of target schools, that based off of your previous criteria that we talked about, your fit, distance from home, size school, are you a Division II? I mean, there's a whole exercise that we do. I'm not going to bore our listeners with it, but the bottom line is they get to the point where it's like, okay, let's do your target list. And bro, I tell them, I want you to start, I want your target list to be 50 schools. And they look at me like I got 3 eyes.
What?
And I'm telling you, guys, you need to listen to Jonathan. Here he is someone who were you on full ride?
I was on a full ride.
So this is a D2 full ride student athlete, player of the year, rookie of the year, right? And he is emailing 300 coaches directly to try to get so that he can transfer. And he's already in college on a full ride scholarship. You're trying to get there. And no one, and he had college film, right? You have high school tape. Some of you barely even played on the varsity. This is so my point is, I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm not trying to talk down to you, but my point is I'm trying to get this point through to you is that you have to cast a wide net because every school that you want may not want you. And then I'll even go back. Jonathan hit the nail on the head too. Before he even reached out, he researched. And I tell you guys this is research, reach out, and then follow through, and follow up. So my point is, again, I'm not saying you got to be, you can't, don't be afraid to compete. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at a roster, they just had a point guard on the team, that averaged 30 minutes a game. He made first team all conference, or she made first team all conference. And now they're going to be at that school at minimum, probably 2-3 more years. Well, college recruiting is all about needs. Coaches recruit based off of need. Well, right now, that's not a big need for them. So you reaching out. So again, you got to take those steps, man. I love that you just shared that because you hit two things in that little just now with research the schools, look at their roster, examine it, but then email these coaches. But then it's not just the head coach. Everybody in that
down that line,
all the way down the line. And then the third part you said, which I love, is okay. Yeah, a week go by. Okay, I'm gonna hit you back up. You got to follow through. And the one thing I'll just add again, and I know it's difficult maybe for you student athletes to do this, but the next phase ideally is if you email a coach once or twice and you don't hear from them, that third attempt has to be a phone call. If you're a junior, if you're a senior, right? There's just too much on the line for you guys not to do it. But anyway, I want to get back to Jonathan. So that's awesome. So now let's just kind of speed up a little bit. So you're reaching them out because you dropped a lot of game already. You're emailing them, you're being proactive, you're following up. Your parents helped you with the email, but they didn't send it. So now you're finally, what was that breaking point where, where they said, oh, you got some bites? Let's walk us through that.
So like I said, going through the first couple of months, because I got my release in April, legit, like right after this season ended, because I wanted to give myself a head start because I was hurt. And so with that, I went to Towson University to go try out, basically, to go work out with the team because they had their summer sessions. And once I went to that workout, I did well. I thought I played really well. And they told me that I would be a preferred walk-on. Once I heard that, I was like, so at a level that I thought I could play at, I know I could play at, I'm still being looked down upon. Now, somebody that's like, I'm going to take whatever I got, probably would have took that. And for me, I knew that there was something else out there for me. And so, like I said, I kind of put myself.
Real quick, can you let them know what a preferred walk-on is, just in case we have someone out that doesn't know what that term is?
So a preferred walk-on is somebody that isn't a full walk-on, obviously, but you still have to pay for school. You're still paying your way into school. You just get to be a part of the team. So being a part of the team is you'll practice, You'll go through everything behind the scenes, but you just won't play.
Mm. Or I looked at it from a standpoint of you're guaranteed a roster spot.
Yeah.
But they're not going to give you no money.
Yep.
So sometimes you can be a preferred walk-on. So you're going to make the team,
mm-hmm.
and then you can actually get minutes.
Yep.
Because so you can actually play. So it's not like, just like you don't get to play. It's like but the advantage to this school is you get somebody who can come in, they're a good practice player, get good grades. Maybe they can crack, the rotation. And now you're basically getting, someone who's helping your team, but you don't got to pay them no money. You're not allocating.
Coaches love that.
Coaches love that, and basically they clean it up and make it all appealing by saying, "Oh, you'll be a preferred walk-on." At the end of the day, once again, you want to know who doesn't care if you are a preferred walk-on? The bank.
Yep.
And now student loan comes due. You can't say, "Yeah, but I was a preferred walk-on."
Yep.
No, it's all about. So don't fall for that trap. And again, I'm not saying some of you, because I know there are. You hear it all the time. There are stories, don't get me wrong, of kids, they go on to a school as preferred walk-on. They work their way up year 1, year 2, maybe they become a starter, and then year 3 and year 4, they get a full scholarship. So I'm not saying they can always change their mind.
Possible.
But initially, at minimum, you got 1 year at the absolute best case scenario of you paying the full boat to go to that school while you prove yourself to the coach.
And some people only need that chance. That's it.
Yeah. And some people take it, but that's cool. But you were like, I'm good.
I knew there was something else, out there for me. So like I said, once I got my Division II release, legit, school started pouring in. I actually had a friend of mine, like I said, reach out to recruiters. Like I said, I had somebody that I knew within verbal commits that was also reaching out to schools in those other regions. It's because, like I said, not coaches, but schools usually recruit unless you're a major player in their region. So reaching out to your high school coach, reaching out to other coaches that you may know or trainers, especially if they have connections with other trainers, other coaches in other regions, is really important, because then they'll be able to send film over to you. Because, like I said, once I got my Division II release, I got about five or six schools in a matter of a week from down south. And once they started to pour in, I was like, okay, this is a lot. So I kind of just narrowed down to the state that I wanted to go to. And funny, Florida was one of the states that I wanted to visit. So 2 of my visits were down in Florida.
Nice.
And legit, once I got down to Florida Southern College, I knew that was it.
So now, how did you know? That's just something. Let's kind of talk through that before we get into your experience as a college athlete. Chapter 2. But so you said the floodgates kind of opened up, which is awesome once you got your full release. But like, how did you finally, besides obviously they giving you the full ride, but like, how did you settle on Florida Southern as your final destination?
It was legit as soon as I got into the car. All 3 coaches, head coach, assistant, and then the new assistant, were all in the car. They all greeted me. And, just the whole conversation, like, how you can just connect with somebody right in the beginning. I had a relationship with the coach to whereas at St. Thomas Aquinas, probably walked into my coach's office once or twice, or like just to have a conversation, or, just had like a side conversation with them, to where that conversation or that relationship was built right in the beginning. And I was only down there for a day. And, with that, I felt comfortable. I felt like, all right, if there's anything that I need to talk to this person about or this guy about, I can. And I know he has the best interest. And that comes into that fit and then that being wanted. And they already explained, yes, we want you to be here. This is what we see. Like, this is what you would bring to us. And like I said, we're trying to, because coming from them, they were 9th in the conference, to where now we're a powerhouse school again. And like I said, they had a vision, and they saw me a part of the vision on and off the court. And like I said, just as soon as I got there, I could just feel, like I said, I just knew that was the right fit for me.
No, I think that's awesome. And part of it is, and it's hard, because I do tell I think you have to get through it. You have to go through it to just experience it. But like, you can tell why you're being recruited when you are like on, because basically these schools have like a board. Like for basketball, you have
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 coaches on the roster, maybe 5, depending on the school. But let's just call it
Yeah.
5 for now for easy math. And each assistant, you got the head coach and you got 3 or 4 assistants. And each of those assistants, and even the head coach, they're assigned to certain regions of the country. And they're all kind of, trying to advocate for players that they're recruiting. But then they kind of put all those players on the board. So let's just say you have 25, 30 kids that kind of make the final cut. Well, depending on the sport, they may only be able to bring in 5 kids,
Yep.
right? So what they do, though, is they rank, okay, which ones of these 30, let's say, like they rank, this is the one that we really want. This is our, our darling, if you will. We'll be cool if we get the number 30 player, but
Yep.
honestly, like, we got 29 other kids on our board ranked above him or her for this particular position. And that's literally how you got to realize how this is, student athletes. So clearly, Jonathan, for Florida, you were probably like number 1 or number 2 on their big board, and you can feel it. And again, I know it's easier said than done, but student athletes, you gotta, you really want to go where you're loved and you are really wanted. And you kind of have to just, it's the level of communication. Like, how often are they communicating with you? Is it multiple times a week? Are they coming to see you play? Are they sending you letters in the mail? Are like, they're just constantly in constant contact with you. Don't listen so much to the words that come out of their mouth. I mean, it's important, but look at their actions. Their actions will tell you how bad they want you. So I just think clearly I could tell that they were really going after you. But then again, I'm assuming you also then still had to, while evaluating Florida Southern, you were still looking at, okay, the distance from home, location, the major, and all that stuff. That was clearly a part of the process too, though.
Yeah, that was all a part of the process. And what I wanted to add is that, like, just to kind of help that finding that fit, when I first committed to that first school, it was kind of a last minute thing. Like, all right, this is the best opportunity for me. I didn't really look into, I just looked at the basketball to where it was like, all right, going into this new, like you said, you got to go through certain experiences. Like, I knew that I didn't give my all and do my side of the work in that first, process. And then once I got to go through it again, like you said, I got to look at, okay, do these coaches check in on my family? Because family is really important to me. Do they care about what I have going on? Like I said, words matter, but they really don't. Like I said, it's the actions. Are they reaching out? Are they calling your parents to check in? That was something that was really important to me. And then the distance, like I said, the distance was the hardest because my family came up to my game at St. Thomas. Every home game we had, they were there. And that was one of the hardest things because they've been my biggest, support group through my whole process. And, it's just coming to a point. Like I said, I went through my first experience and I knew what I wanted and what I didn't want in college. So it was a little easier for me. But, to kind of not prevent it, but to be cautious of is just, what really matters. If your family coming back and forth to your games is really important, you got to look at how you can make this work, especially if you want to leave. Like my family, they came down in my 2 years, about 10 times. Like, that's a lot to come down to Florida. And
That's
it was
awesome.
just because of all the success, the culture, the family that we were just all around. It was like my family was a part of this family.
So tying this all together before we move on to advice for our current college athletes, because there is so much that we've talked about, and I'm just so grateful to you for coming on here. But I think the biggest thing going all the way back to high school is being open-minded, right?
Yep.
Be realistic. Don't ignore opportunities, which is something Jonathan did. He ignored some opportunities. So then really he said it just now, because he did that, he ultimately really didn't have a choice in school. When you only have 2 offers or so, like, it's kind of like, okay, well, I gotta take something, because I don't want to pay for college. And I always tell families this too. It's like an offer is only good if you actually want to go to that school. Like me, I won't mention the schools, but like there are certain schools when I was coming out of high school that gave me offers. I'm like, dude, I would be miserable. Like I knew I was like, I don't want nothing to do with the school. Not because of the school itself, but it was just where it was located. Like I'm not going to Maine, nothing against Maine, but I don't want to live in Maine. I don't want to live in New Hampshire. Like I didn't want to, I knew I wanted to be in the city, which is why I chose Boston University. So my point is, but at the same time, I was still open to all opportunities. But at the end of the day, analysis say if my only options came from schools in Maine and New Hampshire, but they were full rides, I'm not going to not take those. I would have taken one of them. But then it's just like, was that really an option to go somewhere that I really don't want to be at? Right. So now why does that matter? Right. Being open-minded, but then also, Jonathan touched on it, you cast a wide net. So when you're open-minded and you cast a wide net, well, then hopefully when it's all said and done, you start to evaluate, you have 5 to 10 schools that you can truly evaluate on, and you can truly then determine if this is a good fit. But it's really hard to do that exercise of fit and really judge other schools against one another when you really don't have a whole lot of options. And that's why it's so important for you to cast that wide net. And when I tell families to start with a list of 50, that's actually low. I should probably, I might change it because of you, John. I might just change it to, I want you to do a list of 100, because if I say 100, maybe they'll do 50. But I'm so glad. Great advice. But you saw, you're really, but it's one thing for me to say it. You lived it. Like you're literally saying like, dude, like this is how it's done. Like, and I'm not, again, you're not someone who did it 15, 20 years ago. You're literally just went through the process 2 times within the last 5 years. So you're like the perfect person to bring on to the show. Shout out to Isis Young, by the way, people. Isis, because Isis is the one. She's the one that connected me and Jonathan. She's like, "Oh, you got to interview Jonathan." So that's awesome. So now let's try to drop some game though for our current college athletes, because clearly, being able to go to college, number one, just get access to a higher education is great. But then it gets even better by being able to play a sport that you love, whether it's basketball, football, soccer, field hockey, running track. So that's great. But now we want to make sure now that you get there, right? We've shared some advice on how to get there. What about once you're there, taking full advantage of the opportunity? So can you just talk about, whatever you kind of want to share about, advice that, you want to give to current college athletes?
Definitely be open to like branching yourself out in school and finding the things that you, like I said, that you love to do. Like I said, I took that for granted at my first school. I was one of the kids that, like I said, it's just basketball, or I'm too cool to go to a couple of school events, especially if you go to a school with a lot of school pride, you have to go around because you'll meet so many interesting people. And that's what I've done at Florida Southern. I've just, like you said, casted that wide net and found a couple of people that I would have never probably even would have talked to if I was in that same mindset of just hang out with basketball players, play basketball all day. It's like take advantage of that time. I know my Florida Southern took advantage of having like it's called passport events, to where you have to go around to different clubs, like the art club might have an event, the music club, or you might have a school spirit event, going to other games, hanging out with other kids in other sports. Because like I said, you'll just figure out what you want to do. Because for everybody, like I said, leaving college, the number gets smaller and smaller playing basketball. It's inevitable. That's just what it is. Not everybody gets a professional contract. Even players that I think are great players do not get a professional contract. And the number is even smaller if you're not a Division I athlete. That's just what it is. And it's important to have those other aspects or those other things in life because, like I said, basketball comes and goes for a certain time. And like I said, I'm going to play it until the Lord says that's it. But I'm also, vigilant, and I make sure that I'm on top of the business aspect, things that I want to get into. And I think it's really important just to, branch out and find the things that you like to do.
So now looking back on it, and you just finished up, you just got done with your first year playing, we're going to get to in a second, but playing, pro ball overseas, but it's kind of putting a bow on the whole college experience real quick. What do you wish you had known, now that you graduated? Are there any do-overs from a standpoint? Do you wish you had known, are there any mistakes that you made as a college athlete now that you wish, you would have avoided?
So there's two of them. One's kind of jokingly is I wish I could have got my sophomore year back because I only played about half of it. But like I said, I can't take that back now. But the second one is connect. If you come in touch with anybody, even if you aren't the best of friends, or like you said, or it might be a little difficult, just try to connect and branch yourself out. Stay in touch. That was something that I didn't do. I could say through all 4 years of college, I was kind of, stuck in what I have going on. And like I said, that provided, the accolades, coming player of the year and all that stuff. But on the other side, the connections, once you leave, everybody goes their separate ways. Everybody has their own path, but staying connected is, it's important for me. And I think that, that opens up a lot of opportunities, especially if you're trying to figure out what you want to do, because you never know, just based off who you know can open up a door for you.
I love that. So now let's just kind of wrap it up with a few more questions. Again, speaking with my man, Jonathan. Jonathan, you're dropping some serious game for our student athletes and even their parents. So before I forget, where can we find you on Instagram? And if you have a YouTube channel, I just want to make sure everyone can find Jonathan Lawton on social media.
Yeah, on Instagram, you can follow me at JLawton, JLAWTON.3. That's my Instagram handle and my Twitter. And then YouTube is coming soon, so I'll keep you updated on that one. Okay. But like I said, I want to start, giving out this knowledge and helping out the kids, get to where I'm at.
That's awesome. So again, that's JLawton.3. And again, as always, for all of our listeners, you can head on over to URECRUITU.com/fluoride. I'll have all of Jonathan's information there for you as well in the show notes. But you just said get to the level that you're at, which is you just got done playing professionally your first season. Congratulations overseas. Where you're playing, and how did everything go?
So I went to Ireland. It was kind of and I'm gracious for going to Ireland. Those people out there, shout out to Ireland if they ever do. Watch this. The people of Tralee, they really took care of me. It was a last minute thing. I was going to do the whole G League process. Had to work out with the Dallas Mavericks G League team. Didn't really formulate the way that I wanted to. So I ended up out there, went to the best team in Ireland in the Super League. Came in first place in the league. Like I said, it was cut short. Was like the leading scorer on the team, leading in steals. Had, like I said, really good team. The only thing that was difficult for me, coming from where I came from, is that I had to play split minutes. You weren't allowed to have two Americans on the court at the same time in Ireland. So coming from averaging about 36 minutes a game to averaging about 20 now was really difficult. That was one of those gut checks, that pride check to what really matters. And, I mean, with that, it just built my character. And to where I'm at now, like I said, it's just keeping me, head down and just working on the hard work, not too worried about the accolades, all the glitz and glamours that come with it. It comes with the game and it comes and goes. But the thing that stays is just the hard work.
Ooh, I like that, man. I like that a lot. Split minutes. That's tough.
That's tough. Coming from always having the ball in your hand, doing everything to, hey, you got to be a team player, but do what you do.
They should just cut the other American. Let's let you rock for 40 minutes.
I mean, like you said, personally, yes, but you just learn.
I'm joking.
Yeah, you just learn how to work with it. And like I said, I'm glad that I did because, like I said, it was trying, especially in that first month or two. Very trying, but I had a great support system. Lean on your family. and lean on others that are in your industry, because like I said, they're going to have some advice that can help you get through some tough times.
So it sounds
Especially
like
if you
you're
don't
big
know.
on. So it sounds like you're big on mentorship.
Mentorship. I mean, I was always adamant of finding a mentor, because, I listen to my parents, and like I said, all the advice that they give me are great advice. But it's better when you find somebody that's gone through, or not everybody goes through what you're going through, but has been in a process similar to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can bounce those ideas or how you're feeling, and it's like, yeah, bro, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's also just kind of like, the analogy I like to use is, I live in upstate New York. So when the winter hits, it hits. And when you get these snowstorms, I mean, ideally, when the snow comes, you just want to ideally stay home, don't go anywhere. But once in a while, maybe you got to go to work, you got to go to the store, you got to do something, you got to get out the house. Yep. So the analogy I'll say is, when those roads are bad, you have one or two options. Like while you're driving, let's say I come up on a snow plow. So I got, I'm on a back road, it's dark, but the roads aren't that great. Now I have a choice to make. I can either just keep a safe distance behind that snow plow, but like meanwhile, the snow plow is removing all the snow, and at the same time they're dropping the ice melt right in front of me while I'm going by it. Or I could be an idiot and put my blinker on, go around it, and maybe go a little bit faster. But now I'm putting myself in danger because the road ahead, is no longer plowed. It's no longer salted. So I think it's really important for you student athletes is, you young people, period, is, it's good to get that mentor because let that mentor serve as your snowplow. Not saying they remove all obstacles out of your way, but they can kind of, metaphorically, they can share their experiences with you so that you're not, going through the life of like through a blizzard, unprepared. So I think that's just really important. And I love that you shared that, that last piece of advice. So again, you can find Jonathan on Instagram and Twitter. It's, what is it, JLawton.3? Did I say that right? JLawton.3. Families. Oh, I got one more thing I want to ask you, actually. And then we'll let you get out of here. So what is we're obviously during, the coronavirus, people are stuck in the house, recruits, they can't play in tournaments, they can't do visits. So we always ask our former college athletes to give our students, a winning play, something that's going to help them, take control of college recruiting. Well, under these particular circumstances, we want to really make it a winning play, to survive the coronavirus from a standpoint of college recruiting. Yep. So during this period, of being, at home and social distancing, what advice do you want to give our current high school recruits to make sure that they come out of this, a step ahead?
So it's funny because I was just talking to my friend about this. I said, we're going to see, hopefully, God willing, that, this all clears up, who's been working. Don't stop working on your craft. This time is testing your, creativity. So, it might not be ideal. You can't get to a court, or you can't, you can't get into a gym, but you can always work on your ball handling, work on your strength, work on, keep your body loose, something to make sure you're prepared as if it might, go back to normal. That's my biggest advice training wise. And then this is the perfect time to reach out to coaches. You don't have to go too crazy with the emails because, like you said, everybody's focusing on themselves right now and their families, but everybody's on their phones. So either putting up a couple of drills on social media, sending highlights, or making sure you get your highlight tapes created. Those are things that you can do to help make sure you're prepared. I'm working on my highlight tape right now from my past year playing overseas, because I'm going to give it to my agent and have him start reaching out to coaches. I mean, to other coaches, other GMs, and so I could get my next contract. So be okay with the little things, because the little things add up. So that's my biggest thing.
I love that. Jonathan, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Squad, you should know by now, all I want is an assist. Let's make it real easy. If you found any value, which I know you have in today's episode, be a good teammate and share it on social media, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You text a friend, I don't care, but make sure you share this episode, tag URECRUITU, tag Jonathan. And then lastly, just a good resource for all of you. We do have a newsletter. It's called The Playbook. We release it every single Monday. It's full of news, notes, tools, and resources to help you tackle college recruiting. It's no spam. I promise you, it's just good information, including updates. So I really encourage you to join, to sign up for that newsletter. And it's pretty easy. You can just text the word playbook. So text playbook to 66866. So text playbook to 66866. But until next time, this is your recruiting coach, Quito Delgado, reminding you that college recruiting starts with you. What steps are you taking today to earn an athletic scholarship tomorrow?